Hey, are you thinking about moving to Wasaga Beach and you want to learn about the pros and cons of living here before you make that move? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to talk about that with you. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons about living in Wasaga Beach so you don't learn that after the fact, you know that ahead of time. If this is your first time on the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living in Wasaga Beach, make sure you subscribe and tap the bell for notifications. That way you'll be the first to know everything that's happening here. My name's Kevin DeSilva and I'm a local real estate agent here in Wasaga Beach, and I get calls all the time from people just like you that are looking to make that move here, that lifestyle change. So it doesn't matter if you're looking to do that next month, next year, or you simply just want to learn more, reach out to me. All the ways you could do that are in the description box of this video, including a Zoom link where you could book a call directly on my calendar at a time that works for you. Now let's get on with the pros and cons of living in Wasaga Beach. All right, let's talk about pro number one is pricing. When we look at pricing in Wasaga Beach and we compare it to nearby areas, especially like Collingwood, when I analyze the market reports every month, Collingwood is more or less the average price always about $100,000 to $150,000 higher than Wasaga Beach for a similar type property. So for example, a new 2,500 square foot detached home in Collingwood that might be going for $950 would be something around $800 to $850 in Wasaga Beach. So just overall, one of the biggest pros about the area is just you get more, your money goes further, really. And there's a really few really good examples of this, and it really depends on your trade-off, what you want to trade off, because the two towns are only 15 minutes apart. So you can take that pro and let's say spend $100,000 less on a similar house, live in Wasaga Beach, but still enjoy the community of Collingwood. Now, of course, that pricing varies a lot neighborhood by neighborhood, east versus west, but that's why I like that example about, just a new subdivision home, 2,500 square feet. You'll tend to see that kind of difference, that 100 to 150K between Collingwood and Wasaga. Not to mention the taxes are less. Pro number two, lifestyle. Wasaga Beach has this really cool outdoor lifestyle. That's what I always say at the beginning of all these videos. Are you looking to make that lifestyle change and move up here to Wasaga Beach? Because it's just a totally different lifestyle than a lot of the people that come from the GTA and the lifestyles you live down there. It's a very outdoor lifestyle here. In the summer, it's obvious. It's a beach town. You're at the beach a lot. We got the river. We got the hiking trails. There's summer events, summer activities. There's just a lot going on in the lifestyle, in that summer lifestyle in Wasaga Beach. In the fall, we have all the trails we have here, of course, are beautiful. The leaves changing colors. The winter, we have, all the snowmobiling that's happening, especially this year. The snow came early this year. So all the snowmobile trails are open. You can go snowmobiling right outside your door sometimes because our trails are surround Wasaga Beach. You can have your snowmobile in the garage. You don't even have to trailer it necessarily. Drive outside your garage, and within 5 minutes you could probably find an entrance to a trail and then be on the trail network system and go for a nice Sunday ride. My favorite Sunday ride is actually going over to Myler and Loretta's in St. Hampton. It's an easy trip, not too long. It's only like an hour and a half, roughly, depending on your speed, of course. It's about an hour and a half from Wasaga to St. Hampton on the trails, an hour to an hour and a half. And it doesn't take an entire day. You go an hour and a half, have lunch, come back. Like, you can't do that when you live in the GTA. Like, it's a whole weekend trip at minimum when you go snowmobiling in the winter, from the winter to the GTA. So the lifestyle in the winter of just hopping on the trails is so cool. If you're into snowshoeing and the blueberry ski trails, the cross-country skiing, like all that is 5 minutes away no matter where you live in Wasaga pretty much. Maximum 10 minutes, okay? I want to dive in even a little bit more. So that was the winter. In the summer, let's go back to the beach. The fact that we live in a beach town. If you live in the city, you're extremely unlikely going to go to the beach after work. You just had a long day at work. You're not going to drive to a beach. Here, it's extremely common to go to the beach for an hour or two, literally after work or after your kid's school. You can't do that anywhere else. I don't see it happen anywhere else. Like, your kids get off school at work. You might get home from work by 6. The sun sets at 9. Like, you have 3 hours. Like, you can pack your dinner and just go have a picnic, hang out at the beach, go in the water, watch the sunset. Like, again, that's that lifestyle day-to-day stuff that you just don't get in the city. Pro number 2 is the most important pro of Wasaga Beach. Remember that. Pro number 3, Wasaga Beach isn't as far from nearby communities as some people might think. And it's also not as far from the city as people might think. You know, I travel to Mississauga often. I'm there in an hour and a half. And I know an hour and a half seems like a ton, but how many people drive home an hour just after work every day? When you live in the city, if you're working from East End to West End, or Toronto to Mississauga, or Mississauga to Milton, or, you know, Toronto to Brampton, that general area, that's where a lot of people that end up moving to Wasaga Beach come from. You're already driving those hour to and from work every day anyways. And I'm not, now, to be clear, I'm not saying it's an easy drive hour and a half to the city every day. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying it's not so far from the city if you do got to go make those day trips and go do some shopping that we might not have here, or go see family, or go to a hockey game, or go to a concert. It's an easy trip. It's not that far away. It's also so close to Blue Mountain. So we talked about, you know, the fact that you can go snowmobiling outside your door, but let's say you want to go skiing or snowboarding. Blue Mountain is about a 25-minute drive from Wasaga Beach. Again, not that far. I actually, when I was into skiing, I'm honestly not anymore, but when I was, I would go after work. I would literally get off work at 5, get home, change, go to the mountain, and with the 5x7 pass, it's just not busy during the week. I would literally go skiing or snowboarding for like an hour and a half from, you know, 7 to 8:30, and I would get like 10 runs in. That's more than anybody would do all day on a Saturday because of the lineups. But during the week, again, day-to-day lifestyle, you could just go up the hill on the lift, come down, just ski right, or snowboard right back onto the chairlift, and up and down you go. So it's just the day-to-day activities you can do outside. And that's winter. And then there's the summer. Like, you could just do it all year round. You want to do mountain biking in the summer after work? It's just, everything is so close. All the outdoor activities are so close everywhere. So it's just so easy to go do that day-to-day lifestyle that we're talking about in these pros. Now let's talk about cons. Con number 1, limited job market. In Wasaga Beach, most jobs are either tourism-based, service-oriented, or they're seasonal. That's created a bit of a challenge for Wasaga Beach. So because of the lack of consistent, higher end jobs, there's quite a few jobs for like the grocery stores and the fast food things and stuff like that. And there's a lot of service oriented jobs like snow removal and landscaping and just like renovation in general. But there isn't just a ton of corporate jobs. There's not really that much commercial space in Wasaga Beach right now. So, a lot of people that work here, they're either self-employed or they're fortunate enough to work from home. Some of them drive to Collingwood for work, or maybe even Blue Mountain. Again, it's a pretty close drive. Some of them drive to Barrie, which would be, if you live in Wasaga Beach, about a half an hour drive. Again, not too bad. And very few drive to Toronto. I don't meet anybody that really drives there every day, but some people have to drive to the GTA maybe 2 or 3 times per week. So they do the hour and a half each way, 2 or 3 times a week, but then they get to live up here. But yeah, one of the cons, not the strongest job market. Because it's not a strong job market, it works really well for those remote workers, self-employed, tradespeople, and of course retirees. Con number 2, and this con hit me pretty hard when I first moved here. So as originally a Mississauga resident, I grew up with a lot of options for restaurants and different types of foods and ethnic foods and just like a whole variety. Now, it's been 13 years since I've lived up here, so I've gotten used to it. But that is a con that Wasaga Beach has. It's getting better. It certainly is getting better, but it still doesn't have that variety of food and restaurants that the GTA has. So that's definitely been one of the cons. Like I said, it is certainly getting better, and there are still good restaurants. There's just not as much variety. That's all I really mean by that. So I'm not putting the restaurants down. There's still some good ones in town for sure, just not a large variety of different types of food, like I was used to in the past, and like a lot of people are used to if they're moving up from the GTA. Now, a quick, easy fix to that, honestly, is Collingwood being only 15 minutes away from Wasaga Beach. It has a lot of different types of food options. It has just a wider options for food, and honestly, it's only 15 minutes away. Con number 3 about living in Wasaga Beach, which to some people it's a pro, so it's a pro con, all right, is the summer influx of tourism traffic. Now, when you're local, you just get to learn when to avoid the grocery store, like Friday afternoon or Saturday morning when all the tourists arrive. Go on a Wednesday or go on a Thursday. But yes, that could be a con. There's an influx of tourist traffic on the weekends. The pro side of that is that it helps our local economy, especially the seasonal businesses and seasonal jobs, and it just feeds to the overall economy of Wasaga Beach. So it's a pro con. You just have to learn how to, when you live here, you just have to learn how to take those cons and work around them. Mind you, like I said, that example of going to the grocery store on a Wednesday instead of a Friday night before that weekend traffic arrives. So that's just a way to handle that. And then there's just some high-level thoughts of Wasaga Beach, not necessarily pros, not necessarily cons, just some discussion points, if you will. Like comparing West End versus East End of Wasaga Beach. Remember, Wasaga Beach is long and skinny, right? So on the East End, you're closer to Barrie. So if you're going to be traveling to Barrie, you might want to consider living on that side of town because it could save you 15 minutes from living on the west side of town getting to Barrie. If you're somebody who travels to Collingwood often or Blue Mountain, you might prefer the west side of town because then you're that much closer to Collingwood. You're only 15 minutes away rather than being 25 or 30 minutes away if you're on the complete east end of Wasaga Beach. So it really caters to where you think you'll be spending your time dining out, doing your activities, and then just overall price of homes too. Like the prices vary a little bit between east and west, and the neighborhood feels vary between east and west. So there's kind of some high level thoughts there. Not necessarily a pro or a con, it's just pro or con specific to what your situation and what you're looking to do. Another talking point is the pros and cons of within Wasaga Beach of living on the beach or the riverside if you want like a waterfront type of lifestyle. There's some obvious cons there. It's probably a whole other video altogether, but high level, if you live on the beach, the pro is you live on the beach. You get to walk on the beach. You get to see those endless views of the beach. That's amazing. A con would be that Georgian Bay wind coming off Lake Huron, off Georgian Bay. That wind is kind of, I don't want to say there 100% of the time, but it's there often. So you got to deal with that wind a lot and just be mindful of that and okay with it. Pro of the river is that you could have a boat in the backyard where you can't have that on the beach because it's provincially park owned. So you can have a boat on the river and just boat to the beach. And another pro of the river is it just doesn't get as windy because it's protected. It's not open to the bay, so it's just not as windy. So that's another cool pro. A con would be it's not the beach. You're not going to be walking the river like you would on the beach, right? So that's kind of one of the main cons of the river. I'm going to talk about one other con that I don't think is a con, but a lot of people think is a con. Swimming in the river. Some people say you can't swim in the river. I could swim in the river. I think you could swim in the river. People say that because it's brown and it's just it's moving water and it's a sandy bottom and it just stirs it up and it's brown. It looks brown. I swim in it all the time. It's fine. So overall, who is Wasaga Beach better for? Well, buyers wanting more space that are able to either work remote or they're in the trades or they are retired, or they just have the flexibility to only work a couple days a week in the GTA if they do have to work there, but their families can reside in Wasaga Beach. I'd say it's for them. Who it's not for? Wasaga Beach is not for you if you have to daily commute to the GTA. It's probably not going to be worth it. You're going to stress yourself out. If you want a constant nightlife, that's a con of Wasaga Beach. Wasaga Beach doesn't really have much of a nightlife. Collingwood has a little bit. Barrie would be your closest city to nightlife, but in anything like concerts, sports games, events, stuff like that, you're going to be driving to Toronto. If you're okay with doing that once in a while, the drive's not that long. It's only an hour and a half. But just something to note, if you're constantly, every weekend, looking for nightlife, you might want to just reconsider, or at least let's talk about what nightlife options there are nearby and see if it's enough for you. That's Wasaga Beach pros and cons. Wasaga Beach isn't for everybody, but let's find out if it's for you. Book a call with me. All the ways you could do that are in the description box of this video, including a Zoom link where you can book a call directly on my calendar at a time that works for you. And then we will discuss together if we think it's the right fit for you. Maybe a nearby town is a better fit for you. We'll talk about the pros and cons and cater it to your specific life and go from there. I hope you found that pros and cons valuable. Leave a comment in the description box below on other pros and cons if you already live here, or pros and cons that you're thinking of that I didn't mention in this video. Maybe we can start a comment thread and we can address those in the meantime. Until then, I'm looking forward to helping you make a smooth move to Wasaga Beach.